and welcome back to World War II Chat. I'm Tim, and with me, as always, is the man who probably knows the thread count on General Patton's uniforms, Jack.
A common misconception, Patton preferred custom tailoring. Welcome, everyone.
Today, we are diving into what might be my favorite story of the entire war. Jack, what if I told you that one of the most effective, life-saving units in the U.S. Army never fired a shot in anger and was made up of artists, sound engineers, and actors from New York City?
I'd say you were being dramatic, as usual, and that you're referring to the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops.
See, he even makes it sound boring, but it's anything but. We're talking about the Ghost Army, a top-secret group of 1,100 men whose only weapons were inflatable tanks, giant speakers, and their own imaginations. They were tasked with one thing: fooling the entire German army.
To set the stage, it's 1944. The Allies are bogged down in France after D-Day. The front is fluid, and deception is paramount. The U.S. Army realized they needed a dedicated mobile deception unit to confuse the Germans on the Western Front.
But it's who they recruited that's so amazing. This wasn't a call for the toughest farm boys. They went to art schools, recruiting ad executives, architects, and set designers. I mean, the fashion designer Bill Bloss was in this unit.
It makes perfect sense, Tim. Who better to create a convincing illusion than professional illusionists? This wasn't about brute force. It was about psychological warfare. It was a tactical problem that required an artistic solution.
So you have this motley crew of creatives, and the Army gives them a truly bizarre set of tools.
Their operation was a three-ring circus of deception: visual, sonic, and radio.
Let's start with the visual. Inflatable tanks. They had a fleet of rubber Sherman tanks and artillery guns that they could inflate in minutes. My favorite detail is that a 60-ton Sherman tank made of rubber could be picked up and moved by 4 guys.
From a distance or from the air, they were indistinguishable from the real thing. But an army of rubber tanks is a very quiet army, which is where sonic deception came in. They had massive speakers on half-tracks that could blast curated battle sounds up to 15 miles away.
So you're a German soldier at night, you can't see anything, but you can hear an entire American armored division moving into position just over the hill. That's terrifying.
Precisely. And to complete the illusion, they used spoof radio. German intelligence could identify a specific unit by the unique Morse code sending style, or fist, of its radio operator. The Ghost Army's operators would mimic that fist perfectly, so when a real division secretly moved out, the Germans would still hear their radio operator and believe the unit was still there.
So you have rubber tanks you can see, recorded tank noises you can hear, and fake radio chatter you can intercept. A complete multi-sensory deception. Did it actually work?
It worked spectacularly. Their masterpiece was Operation Viersen in March of 1945.
The grand finale. The Allies are at the Rhine River, the last major barrier into Germany. The Germans have panzer divisions waiting, and a direct assault would be a bloodbath.
The plan was for the U.S. Ninth Army to cross the Rhine. The Ghost Army, with just 1,100 men, was tasked with impersonating 2 entire divisions, about 30,000 men, at a fake crossing point 10 miles away.
So they set up miles of rubber tanks, blasted their sonic deception at full volume, and their radio operators flawlessly impersonated the phantom divisions.
And the Germans bought it, hook, line, and sinker. They repositioned their 2 panzer divisions, moving them away from the real crossing site to counter the Phantom Army.
They bought it completely. So when the real Ninth Army crossed,
they faced minimal resistance. The Ghost Army had drawn the enemy away. Military historians estimate that this single 2-day deception saved between 15,000 and 30,000 American lives.
That's just staggering, all with rubber and sound. But Jack, they were in incredible danger. They were a tiny force right on the front line, actively trying to draw enemy artillery onto their positions to make the illusion convincing.
That was the extraordinary bravery of the unit. Their job was to be the target. 3 men were killed and dozens were wounded during their operations. They were not just artists, they were combat soldiers, performing one of the most dangerous jobs on the battlefield.
So if this unit was so successful, why have most people never heard of them?
Because the tactics were too valuable. After the war, the Cold War started immediately. The entire existence of the Ghost Army was classified top secret.
For how long?
For over 50 years. The mission was finally declassified in 1996, and it was only in 2022 that they were awarded the Congressional Gold Medal, one of the nation's highest honors.
It's just an incredible story. It proves that warfare isn't always about who has the biggest gun. Sometimes it's about who has the best idea. These guys used art to fight fascism, and they won.
It's a masterclass in asymmetrical warfare. The Ghost Army controlled the narrative of the battlefield, and by doing so, they controlled the enemy. A profound lesson that is still studied today.
A perfect example of brains over brawn. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode of World War II Chat. A huge thanks for tuning in.
If you enjoyed hearing about the U.S. Army's weirdest and most creative unit, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button and let us know in the comments what you think. Your engagement helps the algorithm recognize the channel.
Right. Next week, we're tackling a beast of a topic, the Tiger tank. Was it a revolutionary masterpiece of engineering or an overhyped, unreliable gas guzzler?
It was a logistical nightmare.
We'll see about that. Until then, I'm Tim.
And I'm Jack.
Stay historical.